Right then, you have seen the brochures. Discover authentic Thailand, they trumpet, showing a picture of a gleaming temple with a monk smiling blissfully. On the other hand, perhaps it was a market vendor laughingly handing over a plate of somtam so spicy it could strip paint. Charming, absolutely charming. Now, shut the brochure, crumple it up. Good. Forget the idyllic travel guides. What if I told you the Isaan you think you know is built on a narrative that ignores its true, gritty past? That the very idea of it as simply Thailand's poor northeast is, in many ways, a geopolitical hangover from a century-old game of imperial chess. I shall, with a measure of necessary grumpiness, expose the often overlooked colonial fingerprints on this region. We are not here for the postcard temples. We are here for a proper excavation. My name is not important. I'm just a cantankerous old git who retired to Thailand for the sun and the peace, only to find the history here is anything but peaceful. It is layered, contested and steeped in the lingering aftershocks of other people's empires. Let us start with a map. Isaan was never supposed to be Thai. There, I've said it. In the late 19th century, this was not the northeast. It was the Lao kingdoms of Vientiane and Champasak and a fluid frontier. Then came the great European scramble. The French drooling over Indochina from Vietnam, the British consolidating Burma and Malaya, and bang in the middle, the Kingdom of Siam, playing a desperate, brilliant and ruthless game of survival. Isaan became the ultimate buffer zone. The French, with their gunboats and outrageous demands, pushed from the Mekong. The British watched from the west. In 1893, Paknam incident, French ships bullying their way up the Chao Phraya to Bangkok was the climax. Siam, to save its own core, signed a treaty. They gave up all claims east of the Mekong. Overnight, families, villages, cultures were split. The river became a border. The Lao left behind on the Siamese side. They needed to be made less Lao, more Siamese, for strategic security. So began the Great Integration Project. The geopolitical chessboard had been set, and the people of Isaan were the pawns who had to stay put. Bangkok set to work. Out went the old local scripts and towels. In came a centralized education system, teaching standard Thai, venerating the Bangkok-centric monarchy and instilling a national Thainess. The distinct Isaan identity, its Lao dialect, its subtle cultural quirks was not celebrated. It was suppressed as rustic, backward, a potential weakness in the face of colonial predators. The border was drawn with ink in Paris, but it was redrawn in the minds of a generation here with textbooks and decrees. Let me pause for a moment. This borderline on the map is not past tense. It is perpetual present. The ink dried in Paris, but the map it was drawn on was alive. Rivers shift course, soil erodes, temples that were meant to be landmarks crumpled and were rebuilt. But the line remains a ghost in the landscape. The current dispute Thailand and Cambodia has near Phra Vihear is perfect but painful case study. A Khmer temple built centuries before the words France or Siam held their modern meaning, perched on a cliff where today you have soldiers staring at each other over a line their great-grandfathers never conceived of. Lives which are now dictated by a surveyor's decision made over cognac in a saloon half a world away. Back to this story, and besides, why hold on to this land if not for profit? Which brings us to the economic echoes. The colonial trade demands reshaped the very soil. Subsistence farming of sticky rice, not lucrative for a state needing cash. Enter the cash crops. First rubber for the burgeoning automobile industry, later tapioca for European animal feed. The land was bent to global whims. On top of that, the infrastructure. Do not be fooled by the railways. The line that eventually crept into Isaan was not built for some lovely holiday tour. It was built for extraction, to haul resources out, to move troops in, to bind the region tighter to Bangkok. It connected Isaan to external hubs, not Isaan villages to each other. The economy was rewired to serve the centre and the global market. Today's endless monoculture fields of cassava, the crippling debt cycles, the young people's forced to migrate to Bangkok or overseas for work, these are not just modern problems. They are the long shadow of that economic restructuring. They were sending their labour out because for over a century everything else was sent out first. The cultural shifts and the lingering scars are the most subtle and the most personal. Watch a traditional moorland performance, the humour, the sadness, the sheer Isaan-ness of it. It survived, but often as a folk curiosity and not a pillar of national identity. The local Buddhist practices infused with animist spirit worship were sometimes viewed with suspicion by more orthodox Bangkok-centred Sangha. It was a soft, persistent pressure to conform. You speak Isaan at home, you are Lao in your heart, but you are Thai on your paperwork. That does something to people. It creates a quiet dissonance, a resilience wrapped in a layer of imposed silence. It is not resentment, you will see. These are profoundly gracious people, but a nuanced, layered identity that most tourists buzzing through on a food tour completely miss. Which is why we must go beyond the tourist gaze. Look at the contemporary issues, the water scarcity, partly due to dams built on the Mekong, a river whose fate was sealed by colonial borders and is now controlled by geopolitics upstream. Land right disputes rooted in how land was codified and titled during the integration period, favouring state control and large-scale cropping. Even murmurs about regional autonomy or cultural revival, they are conversations with the past. So, what is the point of all these grumpy excavations? Does it make the lard taste worse? Blast it, no. It makes it taste more complex. Therefore, appreciating Isaan's true past does not diminish it. It enriches our understanding profoundly. It turns the landscape from a pretty picture into a living, breathing document of survival. You see the weathered face of a farmer not as a simple portrait, but as a chapter in a global story of empire, resistance and adaptation. The next time you're here, do not just snap a photo of a ruined Khmer temple. Look at the cassava field beside it. Do not just enjoy the Khan music. Listen for the melancholy of a border that was not their choice. See the layers, and with that, I'm off. This grumpy old man needs a stiff cup of tea, all grey, of course. Some colonial habits die hard, and to watch that magnificent Isaan sunset, which I will grudgingly admit no empire could ever improve upon. If this has rattled your cage even a little, do two things, or perhaps three. First, subscribe for more unvarnished musings. Second, hit the like button and leave me a comment. I do read them all. Lastly, when you travel, dig deeper. Ask the extra question. Read the awkward history book. The real story is always waiting just beneath the glossy surface. History and its truth is never boring. Take care and goodbye.